So originally when we first started NoobTube, this was, Tobin and I, we had iPods. We listened to podcasts. So I actually listened to them first, I think, right? So I was listening to a lot of the 1UP, GameSpot, a bunch of different ones. And I'm like, hey, Tobin, you got to check this out. It's like gaming news all the time. What'd you think?
So I was hot and cold. There was a lot of what I like to call sausage making, which is too much. Unbelievable. Like, these guys would talk for 15 minutes about how unfair it was that they were losing their credentials at E3 or some shit. Like, just examples like that where you at home could give a fuck. And when we first started talking about making podcasts, where it's like, the one thing we want to do is make it so that people give a shit what we're talking about. We don't do just talking about ourselves.
Yeah, and that's, I think, one of the key things. Like, when we were listening to all these different podcasts, we were saying, like, okay, what are they doing wrong, right? They're basically being very indulgent. They basically waste the user's time. They go like 3 hours long, and then there's only maybe half an hour of content, if that.
And not only that, there's a lot of these podcasts that do this shit where they're like, oh man, I got to play Diablo 3 yesterday. You'll get to see my review when it comes out in 3 weeks. You're like, then what the fuck are you talking about?
Why did they mention it?
Why even mention it, you douchebag?
So, but these all came from various people in the gaming industry, right? So it's almost endemic, right? Everywhere you'd go, it's just like, oh, well, podcast is a new hot thing. We're going to go do one, and we're going to talk about gaming news.
Yep.
Very few of them actually talked about playing games, which is like the weirdest thing to me.
Right.
They were all industry, they were all this, and you're just like, well, how do you feel about the game? And when they did talk about the games, it was like for 2 seconds, and it was all this, I'm under NDA.
Yeah, exactly. They're just like, but what is it like? What is it like? So what happened is that you and I actually got invited to an event up in the city. You saw it online.
Joystick. Yeah, so on Joystick they were saying, like, come, there's free passes to the Xbox Live Arcade Wednesdays launch party.
That's right.
In San Francisco.
This was like right when they first started launching Xbox Live Arcade.
2.5 years ago, probably.
Yeah. So we were up there. We were playing, like, we were getting free booze.
Yeah.
And we were playing like Frogger Unleashed and shit.
Yeah,
and we were
like
just
Pac-Man
like talking trash and playing video games. We're just like,
free food.
Yeah.
Free beer.
Yeah. I want to do more of this.
Yeah,
I would like to do more of this. So
how could we? We were like going the way home. We were like, how could we possibly get invited to more of these things? Oh, how
of course,
naive
the irony being is that we never got invited to shit because we're independent gaming podcasters.
Exactly.
So we don't get invited to dick.
But we did. That was one of the reasons. We were like, okay, all these other podcasts we got tired of.
Yeah.
We were like, they're just doing so annoying things, and we almost felt like they weren't real gamers. They like almost got. They were so into the games and having to play them, they got kind of disillusioned with them. They were always cynical.
Yeah.
You never saw the love. You know what I mean?
Exactly. That's what it was. Is like you never heard this joy. Like, I got to play this last night. It was so awesome. Like, I just spent a week playing this so I could write a review of it.
Yeah.
And it's just like, some parts of it were pretty, but when I beat this boss for the 7th time on the hardest level, it's like, shut the fuck up. Like, that's not. I want to hear about like what's awesome about the game.